and on my end, Chris, everything seems to be okay for you. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, yeah, my name is Jason Jones. I work for Cedar Creek Church, which is in Northwest Ohio. And we have 6 satellite locations and roughly 9,000 people that attend between the 6 satellite locations. So we have 1 broadcast location. We stream out all of our content out to the other 5 services, our other 5 campuses, and they have live worship at those sites. They have live kids ministry, live student ministries, but the actual message portion of the worship service for adults is all streamed from our broadcast site. So that's kind of the basic part of our church. We were on Fellowship 1 for about 18, maybe 19 years, and we switched to Rock in May of 2018. So we launched in May of 2018. We don't have somebody that's in charge of Rock. So we have basically 3 positions that are really invested in Rock on a day-to-day basis. One is our IT director. And when we look at him, we really look at him as kind of the backbones and the infrastructure behind Rock. So he does our servers, he manages Azure, he manages our login to our servers, things like that. He manages our updates in Rock, and he manages our backup to our dev server. So that's our IT director. He really manages the infrastructure, making sure that we have an instance of Rock, making sure that we have a dev instance of Rock, and all the server jargon that I know nothing about.
That's cool.
We have another person who is our data and analytics director. She really focuses on the finance side of Rock. I don't really step too much into the finances. So she does a little bit of that, but she also manages all of our data and analytics. So any numbers pulled out of reporting those out to our church, and then the basic data integrity. So managing policies and procedures for how we update names, how we update phone numbers, how we update addresses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So she's in charge of pulling data out, but also setting the overall standard for the data integrity of our database. And then you have my position, which I'm the ministries, or I'm the project manager for ministries, which is kids, students, and adult next steps. So I serve that team. So basically they run as quickly as they can, creating curriculum, creating content and vision for where kids are going to go, students are going to go, and adult next steps are going to go. And my job is to really come alongside of them and say, great, how do we sustainably keep all of that in Rock, whether it's baptism or some type of starting point class for our adults, small groups. Right now, like online groups are huge, volunteer check-in, celebrations, big, large events, how we do check-in at large events. Pretty much anything that happens in ministry, I'm looking and saying, how do we track that in Rock? So I work heavily with our data and analytics director because I'm like, hey, we're going to start tracking child dedications in Rock. We're going to want you to pull numbers on that. Hey, we're submitting prayer requests in Rock. We're going to want to know what type of prayer requests we're getting out of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So her and I work very closely together. And so my job is to really get information in, build Rock to equip them, and then her job is to pull information out.
That's great. Thank you so much for letting us know about your structure and your team.
Yeah.
So that's good. So yeah, so maybe have you ever used Google Meet before? Or?
I have not.
Okay, if you hover down at the bottom, there is an icon that says Present Now, and you can present your entire screen or a window. But I think what I'd love to do next, if we could, is could you just give us maybe a 4-minute overview, show us your group finder, show us kind of how that works on the external side using Rock on your website, and then maybe go inside your internal Rock and show us how you have your group set up and what that looks like. So maybe the first 4 minutes kind of show us a little bit of an overview of what you're doing. And then let's kind of move into the process side of that. When someone signs up, what is actually happening. I don't know if you're able even to do a test. You don't have to, but just show us a little bit about your strategy for getting someone interested in something and then invested in that actual group.
Great. Let's see here. Present now. Let's see which screen is choosing. Are you seeing both screens or just one?
Yeah, so we can actually see your entire, I can see the Cedar Creek, creekhelp.com over to the left. So we're actually seeing your whole, if you open that bigger, we can see everything. So your whole dashboard, we can see your whole dashboard basically.
Can you see Rock
You're
now
in
for us?
Rock. Yep, I see it. Yep.
Great. Do you still see it?
Yep.
All right, great. It's funny how different these platforms can be. Like, I'm really familiar with GoToMeeting and Zoom, but not this one. So that's just really funny. All right.
Yeah, we started testing this just because we're a Google department, and with COVID-19, we were like, okay, let's train everybody up. So I love Zoom, but we're just trying to move forward. So this is patience for me.
Yeah, their New Spring Church is all a Google institution. So if you like Google, you guys are into Google. They might be. I'll pull this over.
Yeah, they're good. We're good friends with those people. We love them. So
great,
awesome. The show is yours, man.
All right, so this is our external group finder. We've done a little bit of lava on it because we wanted to change kind of the basic structure. So if you've seen the out of core group finder from Rock, and if you haven't, we can show you that too, but it looks just a little bit different or operates a little different. One of the things that I did not like is I didn't like the way that it listed groups. So when you had a group search down here, it was a single row of lots of information, and it was just kind of like a dump of information. The nice thing about Rock out of core is you can launch groups right out of core exactly as it is, and it works really well. We did that for about a year until I started implementing some code, some lava in here to illustrate things a little bit differently. So I liked the ability to drop down for more information rather than having a column here that shows you the details. Let me turn those off for you. It'll be annoying. So I have this drop down here that allows for the additional information to be held. But this is kind of how our group viewer works. We select one of our campuses. You can select no campuses, no filters if you want, and it'll just show you every small group in the church. So this particular group viewer that you're looking at is our small groups. So this is every small group in the church at this point that's meeting right now. You can select down by campus if you're like, just show me everything at the Perrysburg campus. It'll re-list there. Show me things just listing on Wednesday. Or you can say, show me everything that's meeting that is considered a men's group or specific to men. And again, those groups will show up. You can say, does this group meet online? Because specifically right now, that is a season. We also have a little icon right here that's going to indicate that this group meets online. For groups that don't have that little computer screen won't show up. So like there's one that is not meeting online. I would be willing to say, especially since this is a pub group, that they're probably not meeting right now, right? So the way our group structure works is we are a semester-based group structure. So we built groups in January, and then they met February, March, and the full month of April. So technically, we are in the last 4 weeks of what is called our winter semester of groups. This hit about halfway through. Coronavirus hit about halfway through. So we gave our groups the option of saying, you can continue to meet if you want to transition to online groups, if you want to transition to whatever. A lot of them kind of shut down because they just weren't able to transition or pivot very quickly, and we understood that. So our group finder is a little bit messy when it comes to that. Like this one's probably an oversight from our Next Steps director at this campus that's just, either they are meeting online and they're all having a glass of beer on Friday nights meeting online and they just haven't made it an online icon, or whatever the reason is. That one's probably just a low-hanging fruit right now. But all of these, you'll see that we're moving a lot of groups online, and what we're looking at our group leaders for that is we're saying, hey, we're not going to resource you with online software because, one, we don't want to become the sales department for one particular resource over another. We also don't want to become IT for one of those resources over another. So we're saying you can use FaceTime, you can use Google Hangout, you can use Go to meetings, Zoom, anything like that. So we're telling them all the platforms that exist, letting them make the choice for themselves. But that's kind of what the online groups look like, our children welcome, etc. And then once you click for more details, it tells you a little bit more about that group, where they're meeting, who the group leader is. If there was a picture of the group would also appear here. So if the group had taken a group photo, or like what I recommended last week was, hey, if you're doing these Zoom calls, take a picture of your screen and upload that. They can do that there as well. When somebody goes to register for a group, they just click register. It asks for first name, last name, phone number, email address. They click sign up, and it goes straight to the group leader as a pending member and says, hey, you have somebody interested in joining our group. They can go to their group leader toolbox and they can add them into the group. I will say that so what I just showed you is the group finder for small groups. This is what we use for our small groups during our 3 semesters of the year. We did launch a brand new semester this past week that will be first meeting this weekend for online groups. So like I said, we typically have a winter semester, which is February through April. We have a summer semester, which is like end of May through beginning of August. And then we have a fall semester, which is like September through December. We have those 3 semester groups. So we really found it or thought it would be helpful right now to have an online group semester that's just during this season that we can't meet together as a church. So we kind of have this weird overlap season where typically our group viewer wouldn't be available right now because we're in groups. Nobody's joining a group right now because they joined back in January, February. But we have it open right now because of the current situation we're in. We also have a group viewer that's dedicated to our students. So our students all meet in small group on Wednesday nights at our campuses. So I built a separate group viewer, operates and looks identical to our standard group viewer, but this is going to be just student groups. One, we didn't want student groups on this page because non-students can't join it, and that will just help keep riffraff out of the groups. We don't want those group leaders having to weed crazy adults out who are trying to join a student group or whatever that looks like. And we wanted to make it really easy for our high school students. So I also made a group viewer that's just for our students. So like this is the Perrysburg campus. Here are all their small groups that are meeting right now. They're all meeting online. Students can join these groups, and then they still all meet on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. via Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever that looks like. So you can have we also have another one of these small group viewers like this for our outreach hub. So we have what's called Second Saturdays. The second Saturday of every month, we try to have our campuses go out and serve the community. And they have the ability to set up what are their serving opportunities through this exact same look and feel, because we would consider those second Saturdays a small group. They are meeting together, they are praying, and they're learning together. So really they're a small group for all intents and purposes. And then we gather all of those groups together for a large serve day in the middle of the summer. So we use these group viewers for multiple different platforms, but that's kind of what it looks like to the guest eye. Does that help?
Yeah, very nice. So really very nice. I like what you've shown here, 2, 3 areas. I'm assuming that, and when you get into groups, you'll probably show us how you've created these. Are these attributes, the topics, does this group meet online? I'm assuming that those are attributes.
Yeah, great question. So when let me log in here.
Well, first of all, too, I know you're about to get in there. Do you guys have any questions, Missy or Will? Okay, good. Keep rolling, man.
All right. So from, let's see. When you're building a group finder, the trick is that the group finder can only illustrate one group type. So we have lots of different group types for different reasons. We have group types for check-in. We have group types for small groups. We have group types for, fundraising, whatever it is. We have lots of different group types. And you'll develop them as you go on. The group finder can only illustrate one group type.
Okay.
So you have to think through that as you're building your small groups, right? If I wanted a
different... So we would basically, if in this case of this example for services, we probably create a COVID-19 service type. And that would be the type that we would use specifically for this type of project.
Maybe, yeah. You have to map that out and think through how you want it to illustrate. On the back end of Rock, they may not look any different at all. It's just how you want them displayed here. So that question did come up. Is our next steps team asked me, hey, is this viewer gonna only show new groups that we just launched, because they were like, the winter groups are ending, like we don't want people adding to those. And because we built our COVID-19 group online groups as small groups of type small group, I said no. Because they're all going to show here, because this group viewer
is a group type.
That's right.
That makes sense. We've recently, like our serving team that came out of the box in Rock, we realized that every ministry needed another type. So we've created, what we've done in our Rock is that we've created a structure, and then we've created a team or a group. So for instance, outreach has an outreach structure, which is the top folder, and then underneath that there's an outreach team or an outreach group. And so we're doing it that way. So I'm following you. That's great.
So that's the external side. Let me show you the internal side. So this is our internal side of Rock. You have your group viewer under the people tab. And we've tried to really keep this as simple as possible, because we just didn't want a bunch of what you would call parent groups. We knew that would get really confusing.
Could you go there one more time, Jason? Hover over the left-hand nav where you're doing that.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Okay, I see.
Sweet. So it's in your group viewer, and we have our dream teams, which are our serving teams, and we have our small groups. So dream teams are all of our volunteers, all of our serving teams. And the way that we've set both of these up is that the next parent group down, or the first child group, is by campus. So we can look and see all the Perrysburg dream teams there, or all the Perrysburg small groups here. In both areas, we have a dream team structure and a small group structure. So the top of each structure, the top of the dream team structure is ministry. So administration, arts, facilities, first impressions, kids, next steps, safety, and medical, and students. Those are the same buckets you find on any one of these campuses, because that's how our dream teams operate. In small groups, we have what are called hubs. So we have a financial hub, freedom hub, marriage and family hub, men, outreach, prayer, student, and women hub. So these are our hubs. Any group can be placed in any one of these hubs. This is just how we internally categorize groups. The public doesn't know about this at all. But so we'll have a next steps director at the Perrysburg campus who has probably 7 dream team members who are responsible, or 7 volunteers who are responsible for these hubs. 1 for the financial hub, 1 for the freedom hub, 1 for the marriage, and they really help them manage those small groups. So if I open up the men's hub, they're all my groups. Now, I personally like to see all the inactive groups too, so I can see inactive groups as well as actives. Here are all the active groups showing up under the men's hub at the Perrysburg campus, and you can see how many members are in each group. So if I look at this group here, there's within the group, here are the active members and here are the inactive members. So you can see both active and inactive members within a group, and active and inactive groups within a group hub, what we call it, a group hub.
Okay. So the group type that you're using for your group finder, you have those spread out underneath your different structures of your groups.
Yeah, so let me show you the group types that we have set up. So we have, let's see, so small group, we have 826 groups of the small group type right now. This is the type that's driving this external site. So if I look at this group viewer right here, it is pulling groups of group type small group.
Makes sense.
This small group is built here. If I look at this group type, when I built it, let's see, it has group attributes. Group attributes like, what is the public name? What is the group semester? What is the group start date? When is registration closed for that group? Group end date? What hub category does it fall in? What's the group's topic? Does it meet online or children welcome? So some of these items you see are the same items that we're displaying on the external site, like topic, does it meet online, are children welcome? Those out of this.
Yes.
That's where these items are coming from. They're coming from these attributes that I built here. Remember, I said they could upload their own group photo. And if they did, their group photo would appear on this external site. What the staff see when they go to build these groups, small group, when they go to build this group, as soon as they select small group here, when you go to build a group, then all of these details come up. So it says, what's the public name? The reason public name exists for us is we could name a group, which doesn't happen very often. We could name a group internally in Rock one way, and we want it to display externally on that group finder differently. So if you wanted it to display differently, we added a group type. That way it gives our staff the ability to organize something here the way they want to see it every day in Rock, but they want the guests to see it as something else. So they can display them two different ways.
Sure.
If I'm looking at this group as an admin, remember for our data and analytics director, she can say this group met summer of 2018, fall of 2018, winter of 2019. We can see every group, but it's not currently meeting for the online semester. So it's only meeting, if they're still carrying on from winter, which if they're carrying on from winter, he didn't need to add on COVID because he's still meeting. Group start date, registration close, and group end date, we haven't really stepped too much into. But group start date would be what's the first date of your group meeting? That would display externally. When's the last date of your group meeting would display externally. And registration close date, I built that lava on our external site to make the group disappear. So if the group leader's like, I don't want anybody registering after Thursday, they could set this date for Thursday and their group would disappear from the group finder. So that's part of the lava that we built into that. Hub category, again, this is kind of a repeat. So we know that this is part of the men's hub, but when we pull data and analytics out for reporting, we can't show this parent group in the reporting. So I asked our group leaders to select the category that they fall under so that when I run a report, I can see how many groups are of the men's hub category. Here's the topic. Group leaders can edit their own topic. So if they're like, we're doing a Bible study, we're also family and parenting, we're a men's group and we're going to pray. Those are all self-selected things that they talked about. One of the things when we were in Fellowship 1 is everybody selected Bible study. We had like 6 options in Fellowship 1 when we were back in those days. And I was just like we need more, like, you're doing more than a Bible study. Stop that. So they've gotten really creative and they push us a little bit. They're like, I need something that says like, whatever. And we try to keep the topics narrowed down, but still wide as possible. So that's kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
I do mountain biking groups in the summer. So I do like outdoor men. And we just do mountain biking and then we pray before we go out and then we do a little devotional before we get back in our cars and leave. So, the Bible portion of it, if you will, is like 10 minutes, but there's 45 minutes of men sticking together, getting out of the house, being together. So, we would call that an open market small group model. So that's kind of what our model is. Does the group meet online? Yes or no? Are children welcome? Yes or no? Does this group offer childcare reimbursement? That is not viewable publicly. It's also not viewable to the group leader. This is just for our staff because we do have like 3 groups in the church that we offer childcare reimbursement to. We used to do it for a lot more groups, but we're phasing that out because it's just not 100% feasible. But this helps our staff know whether or not they can submit for childcare reimbursement. If it says yes, then we've built lava on their My Account page in Rock that group members can submit for childcare reimbursement right from their profile page if that's selected yes and they're a member of that group.
Great.
So that's kind of what those group attributes look like when they're building the group.
So that's great. So you've got these group attribute values. For us in this case as a team, we would need to sit down and we would need to think about, what would be that if we did 100 services, we know that we would have a campus. We wouldn't need to necessarily put campus in a group attribute because that's already included in Group Finder. Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, some of them are. Let's take a quick look.
And going to the Rock demo, I did notice that there weren't any actual groups in Group Finder. So that's why I reached out to them. churches like you to see, hey, let me see something that's actually real.
Yeah. So out of the box, oh my gosh, there's no groups here. That's so funny. We've created Mr. Fire. Okay. So out of the box, Rock does have a group type called small group, and it allows for a group attribute called topic. You can add, like I added like 10 different attributes, but they have something called topic. In order to see what those topics are, they're probably under defined types. Just do a quick search, topic, small group topic. There it is. Those are the topics that they provide out of the box. So again, you can change them, you can delete them, you can add them, you can do whatever you'd like. Those are topics that you can change. Then we're to look at their external group viewer. What's that gonna be? Small groups. Sure. Search United States. So they have a filter on first that's looking for it's looking at address. So that's something that you can do in their group finder. Display, where is that? The map. There is a way, sort by distance probably. So there's a way for you to say, I only want, let our users, that's what happened. So you saw that it first asked for on their group finder what your address was. So the way that they had the demo working is it was showing you groups closest to your address. So the idea there is somebody types in their home address and it'll show you the groups closest to your address. I don't really like that. I don't know why I don't like that, but we just have never used that. So I just removed that from their thing, and here's their group. So this is what the out-of-box group finder looks like. The name of the group, the description of the group, and a register button versus the one that we have created here.
So basically you got really specific with topics, which makes sense, like, because you do this. For us, we would never, as a church, we would never publish groups online. We want to put people through a membership process and get them plugged into community that way. We do offer studies and different things. So we could probably do what you're doing if we wanted to put the type of studies up and we wanted to register for studies. But in this case with services, we actually might want to do it the way that they had it in Rock, because somebody might want to try the closest, like that would be a way for them to look for the closest service that's near them. I'm not saying you got to go move it back, but do you guys understand, Bill and Missy, what I'm saying?
Yeah. What are the other ways to sort that out, Jason? Like, if there's one way to sort of filter out like who's closest to me to find a group, what other sort of options do we have?
I mean, you could do by campus or by geolocation. So if you're like, you could have a topic that's by the area of town. So if you're like, we would consider ourselves, or where I live, South Toledo, you could do West Toledo, you could do by community. So instead of doing by topic, call it community area. So instead of somebody selecting their address, they could say what community they wanted to be a part of. So you could have groups that are sorted by community. That would be the thinking outside the box part.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so I feel like we understand this. You've shown some great screens here. This is perfect. Talk to us a little bit about how your groups do check-in. People come to their groups. They've spent time in their community groups. Are they getting an email reminder from their group leaders to do that? Okay, we understand how that works. We'll use that with our community groups. Talk to us strategically about how you would do it if your senior leadership team came to you and said, we're going to have 50 people coming to different services, maybe even homes. And there's a great possibility that people aren't in the group. They just go to the website and see a place and just decide, I'm just going to go for the sake of going, and they show up. So what would strategically be a way that maybe you're currently doing this, or what would you think through to quickly check in 50 people at my house this Sunday when I have 50 people show up?
Well, that's a great question. So I think you can do it multiple ways. Obviously, you're familiar with group leaders being able to take attendance from their attendance screen. So
that's right.
This is a simple way to take attendance here, but for 50 people, that can be a little time consuming.
So just so that Missy and Will understand that, when we do go live with our My Account page, our community group leaders will get an email on the day of the meeting that they have, and it'll say, hey, here's a list of all your people. It'll say, here's this link, you click it, and it'll take you to what Jason just showed. Go ahead and click on that, Jason, and then click on attendance. And if you clicked on, let's say, the one at the top right there, click on, this is the link, this is what it's going to take them to. And they just go bam, 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 and they click save, and attendance is done. And that works great in the case of community groups, but for services, we'd have to have another strategic way to do that. So
yep.
I just wanted to catch them up to speed. They might not have known.
I love it. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be, I just started developing this last week, which is the ability to do mobile check-in. It's going to get pissed at me, isn't it? It's going to be great. So the ability to do mobile check-in from their phone. So they'll be able to access, go to a link. Right now it's rock.cedarcreek.tv/mobile-check-in.
Okay.
Which allows them in a geo filter around Northwest Ohio. Basically, I just did a circle around all of our campuses, and I don't know, 30 minutes west of our most west campus, 30 minutes, outside of all of our campuses. And if you fall within that area, you can access this webpage, which
brilliant,
is a mobile check-in. So people can literally go through just like they're at a check-in station, type in their name, find themselves, walk through the entire check-in process. So specifically for those people serving at home, like our prayer team right now, they need ways to say, I need to check in, I need to whatever. So
yeah,
that's one way.
So going back to what you did, touch on that again. Let's do that again, and maybe do your wife or something. I don't know if you're married, but somebody else.
I think I can do it again for myself.
Okay. So what you're saying is you'd show up and you would check the attendance because you just checked in. And then the next page, which would be the service time, would be like if this was the 11 o'clock. So this would be if we had, let's just pause here for a minute. And I'm just strategically thinking out loud here. If we had services, if we said we had a 9 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a 12, a 1, like we'd be doing this all throughout the day because we want to try to get as many people to these services as we can. Then those service times would show up here. So if you were at the 9 o'clock Rivers service, you'd click 9 o'clock, and then it would take you, if you were in that service group, then the next page that would pop up would be Chris Rivers service. Or if we decided to do this at 10 locations at Pelham campus, then, the Bunnies room would show up if you were in that. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So then, Jason, how would we do that for people that, because this is rad, I really love this, but if it was a first-time person and they came just like this really changes the game of church right now. But like, if this is a first-time person coming to my house and they have never been in Rock before, even, they're not going to show up in here. So how would we create the process for getting them checked in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think,
we do have a hellograce.church. We have a digital connect card that we use right now that we're converting. So if you open up a screen, another tab, and go to hellograce.church, I'm wondering if this would be the hellograce.church. So we're converting this into a Rock workflow that basically, if we could just give this to the person, they could fill it out, and it creates a new record in the system, and we could create another box that says attended service, or that's probably what we would need to do there then.
Yep.
Okay.
I just went to.
Does that make sense, Missy and Will? Awesome. Okay, man. This
so we kind of do the same thing with our locations tab. So from our locations tab, we're able to say, have kids, let us know you're coming. So they fill out a new family registration form that when they fill this out, they're already in our system. So when they arrive, one, we knew that they were coming this weekend because this notifies the kids director at the campus. But two, that already puts them in the database, so they're not standing in a counter waiting for us to add them so they can check in.
Yep.
So that's. I mean, you're essentially doing the same thing with this.
Okay, that's good.
The third option that I would say is available to you is texting, right? So have you said you have not stepped into texting right now?
Yeah, we've not. But
so for example, if you got your phone out and you texted this number, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm almost there, and I'm ready.
419-419-0707. So a standard phone number, 419-419-0707, and text the word pray. I think that works.
Okay. All right, so text the word pray. Yep. So I basically got that information in, and I click that. Thanks for reaching out. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've heard from you on this number before. Would you please provide some basic information so we can connect you correctly? So that's the message I got. So I click that link, and this is a, oops, it says we can't find that page.
Oh, well, that's hilarious.
Always technology, right?
So what that would do is that would ask you for your first name, last name, and phone number. It would add you to the database and then redirect you back to our prayer form.
Okay,
so since that doesn't work, I'm going to have to fix that.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying, we could create a 414 like that, and then they would become a new person, and then they would immediately get a link to go to something like a Hello Grace or to what you were saying, and they would pre-family register right at that moment.
Yep.
That's brilliant. Okay, so for us, because we don't have SMS texting turned on, what would we have to do? I mean, that's a simple workflow that our team can build. What would we have to do to get that up and moving? I mean, we have Twilio. We've got Twilio turned on.
It's so easy. The documentation has really good instructions on Twilio. So as long as you have a Twilio number already set up, there's a couple steps that you set it up in Rock. I mean, like,
well, you don't have to go through all the logistics, but I get what you're saying. So, okay, this has been super helpful. My brain's swimming with ideas. So, this is good. Missy, Will, do you guys have any other questions or thoughts before we leave Jason?
I do have one question. Oh, go ahead, Will.
I was just saying, no, this has been great. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, no problem.
When you were talking about sorting before, is it a single variable that you sort by, or can you sort by multiple variables?
Say that again.
When you were talking about sorting for campus or for location or whatever, can you sort by multiple variables, or is it single?
Yes. Nope, you can sort by multiple.
Okay. Thanks.
So if I'm on our groups page, I can sort across multiple. So South Toledo, men's, outdoor. And it brings up 2 groups.
Okay, great. This has been really helpful, Jason. I don't have any other questions. I think for us, our next steps are, Missy, I think it would be great. I'm going to download this and put it in YouTube. I think it would be helpful if you have the margin to maybe go back through the video and put some timestamps on it. What I'm most what I would, just so that if we were to share this with David Delk or any of our senior leaders, we could easily say, hey, just click on this minute mark and it'll open up so they don't have to watch the whole thing. And then I think, Will, you and I, we just when we're ready, you know, we maybe Will, what would be helpful is if you just created, I've got a couple notes. If you want to create a Google Doc that just says like the thing you like best about this video, maybe I'm going to write down group attribute values. We would need to think through that. We would need to think through lava. What is the lava that would need to be built on our page? And so those are the big two things that I would have added to that Google Doc. So I don't know. I think we just need to have a running document that we have going forward when we decide to pull this off, if leadership says to do it. So is that cool? Are you guys both good with that? Okay, great. Hey, Jason, this has been a blessing, man. You are a blessing to our church, bro. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Lots of people are blessings to us all.
Yeah. Well, I will be in touch, and I know where to find you. So when this does happen, I'll reach out to you too and share. And I'd love to get online with you. And we've created some things that I think have been real helpful, and I'd love to share some of those with you too. So I'll reach back out to you. So hopefully we could be a blessing to you guys as well one day.
I love it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, man, I hope you guys are well, and we appreciate it. Will, why don't you pray for Jason and their church, and we'll close this out?
Yeah, let's do it. God, we love you, and we're grateful for the work that we get to do, just to be a part of your story and a part of what you're doing in the world and in our communities. Thanks for Jason and Cedar Creek. We're grateful for the fact that we are not alone, but that we've got a bunch of family of believers who are all over the world, and you are deeply connected to them. You intimately know them, and it's just cool to think about how big you are. So thanks for Jason. Thanks for what he's done at Cedar Creek, and thanks for the blessing that he's been to us. We want to pray that you would just give us what we need. We know that you will, for the way that we need to minister during the COVID-19 season. So give us wisdom as we navigate, and help us to be a blessing to one another. Lord, we love you, and we're grateful for what you've done for us. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thanks, Jason, Missy, Will. Thank you, guys. I'll be in touch, okay?
All right.
Stay healthy, everybody.
All right, man. Bye.